I got called out for using porn by my spouse, I would make all the promises, make the commitments. I'm going to do better. I'm going to beat this. I'm going to get rid of this in my life. I'm going to stop. And then the next week, I would be right back at the bottom rung, staring at the top rung in despair. Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing, Matt?
I'm good, Yeadon. How are you, brother?
I am doing well. I'm chuckling because we were doing some green room conversation before. Matt was like, I'm good to go. And then I clicked go live and he's like, you know what I noticed? I'm like, oh crap. Hey, we're going live, bro. Sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off.
The rocket is launching. That's cool.
The countdown has begun.
Yes.
So y'all, I'm excited about today's episode. Welcome back to the Porn to Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Yeadon Smith, co-host Matt Sinkovitz, the founder and OG of the Porn to Purpose program, developer of the Liberation Bootcamp. Good to see you, as always, Matt, behind the microphone, behind the camera.
Yeadon, it's an honor, and I'll say one of the highlights of my week, man. I always love to jump on here and collab with you.
Thanks, man.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate you letting me run point on this episode because I was thinking about, I was on a walk yesterday and I was, kind of meditating, thinking, processing stuff, thinking, what can we bring to the podcast this week?
Yeah.
That's a tool that men can use in the active recovery journey.
Yes.
So this episode, I titled this episode, "The Ladder Only Has Two Rungs."
Yeah.
So think about this, right? Think about this. When recovery seems impossible, when it seems overwhelming, really what's going on mentally is we haven't broken it down into a small enough step to take first. Yep. I remember being stuck in that shame spiral, the guilt spiral, the fear spiral, all the spirals pulling me down into the abyss, thinking, I don't have any hope. I don't know what to do. There's no way I can have absolute sobriety tomorrow.
Yep.
I just know it's not going to work. I've white-knuckled it. I've tried this. I've tried that. Nothing has worked. And as I look back, I can see, one, I didn't understand recovery. I didn't understand the difference between recovery and sobriety. Mm-hmm. What I was trying to do is I was trying to climb a ladder that only had two rungs.
Yes.
Imagine a 15-foot ladder. Shoot, could be a 6-foot ladder, but imagine a ladder that has a rung at the bottom and at the top.
Yeah.
There's no way to climb that ladder. It's one of the reasons why recovery felt impossible, because I was standing at the bottom of the ladder thinking like, I don't know how to get up there.
Yep.
Right. Even if I can make the leap and grab onto the top rung, I don't know how to actually get over this wall of my addiction to porn. So, y'all, this episode is personal for us because I know Matt and I we both tried to climb that ladder with two rungs with zero success.
Yes.
So, okay, we got this unrealistic ladder where, man, if your story has any similarity to mine, I tried to quit porn, I don't know how many hundreds of times. Just quitting cold turkey, trying to make it to that top rung and scrabble over the wall of addiction. But it never worked. It never worked. Even times where, I got called out for using porn by my spouse, I would make all the promises, make the commitments. I'm going to do better. I'm going to beat this. I'm going to get rid of this in my life. I'm going to stop. And then the next week, I would be right back at the bottom rung, staring at the top rung in despair because I didn't know how to make the climb.
Right.
Did you ever feel like you were just trying to jump and kept missing it in recovery?
Oh, yeah.
Like I've been doing strength training now for 4 years. And my 12-year-old son, Oliver, he goes with me to the gym and works out with the trainer as well. Mm-hmm. He's 12 years old. He can do an unassisted pull-up. And I have seen him jump from the ground onto the pull-up bar and then do a pull-up.
Yep.
When I was 12, I don't even know if I could make the jump and grab onto the pull-up bar,
Yeah.
let alone grab, jump, grab, and then hoist my chin over the bar for 1 rep.
Yeah.
It's taken me years of physical training to get to the point where I can successfully do pull-ups for reps. And not a lot, not talking like I can't do 100 pull-ups, but I can do 4 or 5 pretty solidly, and the analogy that I find so interesting as it relates to porn is men try and leap for that top rung, building up whatever muscles they think they need to be. It's like, oh, you know what? If I can just make it a week, I'll be good. If I can make it a month, I'll be good. But invariably, what happens?
Yep.
We make the jump, we grab to that top rung, and then we're just hanging.
Yep.
We just hang. We're like, oh, what do I do now?
Yep.
We're just like literally, you're white knuckling and holding on to that rung until your grip just fails.
Yep.
Yeah.
I gotta just contribute another analogy, and and 2 come to mind for me. One is just like my food journey that I've been on for the past, 6 months, well, lifetime really, but I've been really intentional over the past 6 months working with the coach. Like I had really had no framework for how to shift my relationship with food and shift my diet. And I think what we're getting to here is what I needed for myself was like, I'm like looking up, like, I know I want to change my relationship with food. I'm looking up at the top ladder. Maybe I try and jump up there and I do great with my diet for one day, but I don't have the framework in place or the steps in place to actually have a sustainable kind of daily system in place. And that's what a coach helped me kind of put together as a piece by piece framework.
Yes.
And I think that's what we're getting here for today. Yeah.
That's exactly right, y'all. We have to have tools. We have to have the support. So we're not trying to make a leap. We're just lifting our foot to the next rung.
Yeah.
And then we can support ourselves at that step. And then we take the next step and the next step. You have a 15-foot ladder with 15 rungs on it. That's easy to climb.
Yep.
It really is.
Yep.
You got a 15-foot ladder with 2 rungs? Not a snowball's chance in summertime in Miami.
Yep.
Right? Less than 0 of it actually working. So for the rest of our time on this episode, brother, listener, wherever you are in podcast land, we want to give y'all one of the tools that we use all the time. We use, I don't want to say all the time, but this is one of the tools that's in the bedrock framework of the Liberation Bootcamp. It's what we call the 0-day doc.
Yep.
The 0-day doc. Matt, tell us about this 0-day doc that we use.
I'll give you a quick synopsis. The 0-day doc was born out of a relapse that I experienced several years ago. Waking up one morning, feeling so frustrated, so overwhelmed, having done so much work, but continuing to find myself back at day 0. I said, all right, what happened? And so I immediately sat down, and it's like I just received a download, and I just started writing all these questions out in my journal. What happened? Where was I? What was my energy? What was my mood? I wanted to go into it like a detective with my magnifying glass and look at every single piece that led to or contributed to this acting out, including what was I thinking? What was my mindset? Like what else was going on that day? And I put together for myself what turned out to be, and I ended up, bringing it to the community, was my 0-day doc, or I called it my relapse recovery kind of document. I wanted to go through it. I wanted to investigate exactly what were the pieces of the puzzle that led to the acting out episode.
Dude, and man, that's what we're talking, right? I got my detective hat, put on my detective hat, right? It's like, oh my gosh, because let's be honest. For men who are trying to be better, none of us wake up in the morning thinking, you know what? I'm planning to relapse today.
Right.
We don't wake up. Now, there may be the inner addict that's like, let's go. We haven't watched any porn in a week, right? The inner addict is jonesing for a fix. We're white-knuckling it as best as we can, but invariably the willpower fades, right? You can't hold on to that top rung forever. You don't have any support. You're just holding on by sheer force of will. And as the willpower is used up, we fall. So we take our detective hat, put our detective hat on, and we're like, okay, what was going on that led up to this reset? What was going on in my life that led up to the story in my head overwhelming me to the point of going back to porn and using porn? Matt was talking about the questions that he got in that moment, and reflecting on the zero. It's questions. What was my energy level? What was my emotional state? What were the thoughts that I had in my head? What was going on at work? What was going on with my spouse or my girlfriend or my fiance or my significant other? What was going on with my kids? How was my sleep leading up to the relapse? Was I off my nutrition plan? All of these aspects, right? Because what were we taught growing up, Matt, about porn? Not a trick question, right? We were taught it's a sin,
Right.
it's evil, and stay away from it.
Don't do it. You know what?
Don't do it.
I remember being at a kids convention, a youth convention. We were one of those big auditoriums. Maybe you were at some as, big
I've been
auditorium, right? And the evangelist was down at the center, and he said, "Man, porn is hell in a handbasket." And that when he said hell in a hand, that really scared me. I'm like, oh no, if I don't change this, I'm going to hell for sure. Hell in a handbasket is what he called it.
AC/DC starts blasting in your head. I'm on a highway to hell. Like, that's me. I don't know how to get off this highway. I'm stuck. Dude, it was the same thing. And I was never taught growing up in the church to treat it as a coping mechanism, because understanding it as a coping mechanism, that takes away a lot of the guilt, the fear, and the shame, and really lets you look at it objectively, like what was actually going on. Now, let me say real clear. I think porn is bad, categorically. I don't have anything good to say about the industry. I have compassion for humans who've been sucked into the industry. You can find story after story online of how the porn industry ruins people's lives. Not just the people inside the industry, but consumers of porn. We've talked on the podcast how it rewires our brains. We approach sex irrationally, like unrealistically. Normal people cannot compete with perfect lighting, perfect bodies, perfect camera angles, and perfect scene cuts, right? It's just not reality at all. But when I only had the framework of this is a sin and it's evil and immoral, all my reflection was I'm a terrible person. I just have to do better. I have to do better at avoiding it and staying away from it. But those tools, they're as useful as trying to drive a nail with a piece of dog poop.
Yep.
It's messy, it's painful, and ineffective. This 0-day doc idea, whether you use an actual document or you just journaling in your journal, journaling on your phone, processing it through meditation, this concept of putting on your detective hat and really doing some introspective work around what was going on in my life that led up to this reset, that led to a break in my sobriety.
Yep.
And every time we've walked a man through this in the boot camp, every time I've done it in my own life since being on this recovery journey, I've been able to identify it's like, oh, I'm not a terrible person. I'm not a failure. This is not a moral failure in my life. This was a coping mechanism, and my framework for protection that I'd been building with habits like the core 4, the community, the deep work, the reading, the journaling, the meditation. when I lose my sobriety streak, all that means is my framework failed somewhere. The pressure and the pain and the chaos of life seeped in through my defenses to my core. And at that point, my inner addict took the reins and like, hey man, this is not working. You're in pain. We can't survive life like this. We got to have something to solve this pain, and go to the porn. And the problem with porn, like we say, is it almost works. It never really works. So the idea that when you reset your sobriety, you haven't failed as a man. The framework that you've put in place had a weak point.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
And the 0-day doc gives us the freedom to put on the detective hat and start analyzing what piece of my framework failed.
Yep.
It's like, you know what? I had a rough week at work. I was working 12-hour days. My kids, none of them went to bed on time. I was only getting 5 hours of sleep a night. And then Friday night, bedtime routine, all the kids were throwing hissy fits, and everybody had forgot to brush their teeth again, even though we do it every single night. And I was frazzled. My wife is out of town. I'm just by myself. All this.
Yeah. Yeah.
The framework collapses, acting out with the porn, and being able to analyze it objectively and transparently with vulnerability.
Yep.
With your being honest with yourself, like what was actually going on? It's like, oh, okay. I was working overtime all week. My kids, I was frustrated with my kids. I didn't have my spouse at home to help with the adulting in the family, to keep kids on track. I didn't have the connection normally that I have with my spouse. Like my defenses were down.
Yep.
And when you think about it, that was like, oh, no wonder I relapsed with porn.
Yep.
And then you have a clue. The next time it's like, oh, you know what? I'm working overtime all week. It's like,
Yep.
That means my defenses are going to be down in this area.
Yep.
And being aware of that, it gives you another rung on the ladder. It gives you another rung on the ladder. You can take another step and stand there with stability. It's like, okay, I know what's going on. I'm stressed out with work. My kids are never going to remember to brush their teeth on their own. I have 4 kids. Okay. I mean, it's rare that when I ask, have you brushed and flossed? Every single one says yes. We never bat 1,000. There's always something. Being aware that, okay, my kids are points of stress. And let's be honest, man, if you have kids, kids are a point of stress. I love my kids to death. I would die for them. I would take a bullet for them. The problem is they would probably be the reason someone's shooting at us to begin with. You know what I'm saying? But that's my level of devotion and dedication to my kids. And at the same time, they're a major stress point in life, being responsible for somebody's growth.
Yep.
So the 0-day doc gives us one more rung in this ladder where we can analyze what's going on. Yeah, man.
I love all this, brother. And I find it so crucial and so valuable. And what I would say is there are 2 parts to this. 2 parts to this 0-day doc process. The one is the self-reflection, the self-inventory, going deep and doing the investigation with the detective, magnifying glass.
Yes.
But then there's another piece to this. And the second piece of this is having a place or having a space to bring the clues, to reflect, to share, to be seen, to be heard, to be supported around this process.
Yes.
So we're not investigating and navigating in isolation, which is what we've been trying to do.
That gives us a whole nother rung on the ladder.
Right.
Yo, Matt Mike dropped it right there. The 0-day doc by itself in isolation is really only half the battle.
Yeah.
The remaining piece of that specific battle is being able to unpack it in a community, in a room where nobody's going to judge you. Right? Dude, if you have kids, you know how frustrating kids are. If you're married, you know how frustrating it is to be married sometimes. If you have a job, you know how frustrating it is to work. If you're an entrepreneur, you know how stressful running a business is. And being able to unpack this in a community where there's compassion, love, understanding, and assistance to call us forth. Like, okay, what can you do next time you're in that same situation?
Mm-hmm.
So that you're not finding yourself 11:30 p.m. on a Friday, stressed out, overwhelmed, and porn is the only pill that your brain can think of to manage the pain. So, dude, listening out there, 0 Day Doc. If you want to know more about the 0 Day Doc, if you want to know more about the community that we have in the Liberation Bootcamp, check us out online, porntopurpose.com. Get on a call with me or Matt, totally confidential. We can talk about where you are, where you want to be, what's blocking you, just about life, about the issues that go along with porn addiction. We want you to have freedom. We want you to have the tools and resources to put all the rungs on the ladder. So it's just a matter of taking the next step, climbing the ladder to get over this wall.
Yep.
Man, if this resonates with you, please give us a like, subscribe to the podcast, give us a review on Apple Podcast. It really helps spread the word about recovery and growth as men. We don't take our listeners lightly. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you all for being with us on this journey.
Yeah. Thank you, Yeadon. Beautiful topic, beautiful episode. So critical, so important. Such a important piece of the puzzle. Thanks for bringing it and bringing your experience with you here. Brothers, thanks for being with us here today. Thanks for joining us. As always, we appreciate you so much. Wherever you are in the world, peace and power. We look forward to seeing you next time. We are noble men.
Noble men.
See you, brother.